fired up to be here. This is exciting times. Cannot wait to get to work. Bear down, baby.
Okay. Sharp offensive coach, known for maximizing offensive personnel. And the Bears have weapons. Just left a great culture so he can cherry pick some stuff. He had proximity to a great culture in a rebuild, right? Like he wasn't in a dynasty. He was in a bad franchise that built up from the ground floor. So this is literally, he's taking the job and he just worked through a 4 and 5 year cycle of what he wants to do. He can steal stuff from there. The Bears have good assets. They have $66 million in cap space. That's top 5. They have a dynamic rookie quarterback who has 4 years. He's basically free. And, oh, by the way, you have 3 picks in the top 41 because you have an extra second. You have interesting weapons. This is not the Panthers' job. This is not the Patriots' job with Gerard Mayo. That's not what this is. So I don't know if Ben Johnson can turn it around. I don't know if he's Bobby Flay or Sean McVay, but he's got a full pantry and a great kitchen. And if you go look, what really is true is that if you just look at the 2 teams that were in worse shape than Chicago, Washington this year, I mean, Washington's roster coming into the season is significantly lower PFF than Chicago's that Ben Johnson will get. And he's got 6, 7 draft picks to add and free agents. And Houston was a laughingstock ownership down. And they both gave you blueprints. For instance, Washington fixed the offensive line. Then they brought in like smart, savvy veterans. Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz, Marcus Mariota. So you don't even have to, if you're Ben Johnson, you don't even have to be original. You can just steal what Washington did. You have a mobile quarterback. Your O-line needs upgrading. Go ahead, sprinkle in a couple savvy veterans. Stir, put it in the oven, let it bake, and it should work.
Yeah. So I'm excited to talk about this. I think they're going to have a lot of success. And I think they're going to have a lot of success quickly. Someone in the comment section asked me to kind of react to his, Ben Johnson's kind of like opening address when he addressed kind of like the Chicago Bears and stuff like that. And I accidentally kind of came across it, like, because I said, I asked him kind of questions about it. And then I accidentally came across when I was just like laying in bed on my phone. And I was like, and I just kind of like watched it. And so I didn't want to like pretend like I was reacting for the first time. I don't want to do that. That's, that's not my style. So I just figured I'd at least share my thoughts on that. And I loved it. I really take a lot of pride in my ability to kind of read people. I mean, it's actually technically more where my formal expertise and background is in, just from like an educational, professional standpoint in terms of when sports didn't work out, you have to do real stuff. And that's, was a therapist and all of that. And it's also just how my mind is naturally wired, is picking up on people, the authenticity, just kind of all that type of stuff. And I think he's incredibly authentic. See that face right there? I think that's why Ben Johnson kind of gets a little bit of a bad rap. Because he's got kind of like resting angry person face, right? Or like, I'm smarter than everyone else. And, listen, all of these coaches are very high ego, insane amounts of confidence. Like that just comes with the territory. Same thing with all these athletes as well. They're in a lot of ways, you kind of need to be delusional to be able to have these levels of success. Think about it. You have to like literally believe when you're like 10, 15 years old that like, I'm going to be the greatest football player ever or something. And it's just like, for 99.99999% of the people out there, it's like, dude, you're not even going to remotely even make a team, let alone be what you're trying to achieve. So like you need to have some delusion, quite frankly, because you believe it before it's even remotely possible. And therefore it can only be delusional until it actually finally becomes a reality. And so it's a tough balance. But I love how he addressed everyone. I love the energy that he brought. It was authentic. It was confident, but it wasn't like kind of over the top. He made some jokes, and he also admitted that this is going to be hard and this is where I want to be. And again, it felt genuine to me. Like, I don't know, it just felt real. And that's ultimately what you're looking for. And that's the benefit of Ben Johnson, is that he's only going to be him. I think a lot of coaches go in the wrong kind of like hurt themselves and kind of go in the wrong direction when they try to pretend to be something that they're not. Like, that's where we see a lot of coaches, a lot of people in life in general fail. Again, you probably see this all the time in your own life, whether you made the mistake or you see other people. You're trying to be something that you're not. And really the best way to be is just your authentic self. That's what I always try to convey here when I make these videos. I'm never trying to be anything that I'm not. Because I have no desire to do that. And two, it's like, I think one of my strengths is my authenticity, is my honesty. Whether I'm right or wrong, at least it's authentic, at least it's real. At least it's true to myself. And my personality, you either like it or you won't. And again, it's up for you to decide. You either like my energy, you either like how I talk, you either like my emotional ups and downs, or you don't. And that's fine. So, right? So you either will connect with me or you won't, which is great, because then the people that do want to watch, the people that do want to comment, it's like, well, then they like me for me. I mean, it's kind of cheesy in a lot of ways. It's kind of like what your mom or dad told you when you were a little kid or a teacher, right? If they don't like you for who you are, well, then, then they don't deserve to have you. And it's like, in a way, it's one of the truest statements ever told. And I do think that Ben Johnson brings that. And I think that matters. I think that really matters. And I think someone like Caleb really needs that too. I think a lot of authenticity really needs to be there. Because I think Caleb deals with a little bit of inauthenticity. And I've defended Caleb this entire season. This entire season, I defended him every step of the way. But I do think there's a little inauthenticity to him that I really hope that him and Ben Johnson can kind of cut through, because I think it's necessary. I think it's needed. I mean, even Caleb, when they asked him, like, oh, what are you looking for in a head coach? He's like, oh, I'd like, an offensive head coach, someone that I can be with for the next, 17, 19 years or something. And it was just kind of like, dude, like, just get by the first few years. Like, you're like, what? There's no guarantees in the NFL that you're even going to last, next year. Like, literally, if you struggle next year, you could be benched. So it's just, and I think Ben Johnson will be able to cover it. Whether it was a tongue-in-cheek comment, which I don't think it was, but even if it was, it's still like, no, man. And that's why I compare it to Steph Curry's interview when he was first entering the NBA, and they were like, oh, where do you see yourself in 10 years or whatever it is? And he's like, well, hopefully I'm still in the NBA. And it's like, yeah, that's real. That's real. And again, I'm not saying everyone has to be like that. I'm really not. Everyone has all different personalities, different energies. But I do think that, at the very minimum, you have a coach who you can really have a lot of trust in. That if things aren't going according to plan, you can't necessarily, that past season, people were able to really question, well, is it Caleb? Is it Shane Waldron? Is it Eberflus? Is it this? Is it that? We know if there's a lack of success, sure, maybe if there's some culture issues, maybe if there's the team doesn't look like they're prepared to play, or, some of those other things that we could say, hey, is he doing a good enough job as a head coach? And again, I don't think that'll happen, but, if it does, we'll address it at the time. But in terms of the actual game plan, the actual play calling, the play designs, all of this type of stuff, the actual moments of putting Caleb in a position to succeed. If he doesn't, we won't question what was this, what was that, what are they doing? Because we know Ben Johnson has had an insane amount of success. And I think he will have a tremendous amount of success with Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. And that's why I said, before when this hire was first announced, I was like, this is great because this hire gives you the maximum optimism in this offseason going into next. You have a real reason to truly believe that things are going to change now. That you wouldn't have had that same, even though I was kind of championing for someone like a Mike McCarthy, you wouldn't have that with someone like a Mike McCarthy. You would feel good and you would feel like, yeah, we're probably going to be a lot better than we have been in years past. But Ben Johnson, if Ben Johnson connects with Caleb and things just kind of hit, and then you do take care of business from a roster standpoint and a culture standpoint, you are talking about building something truly special for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, You really are. And the benefit of Ben Johnson having so much control over the offense as an OC with the Detroit Lions is that he's learned and grown. He's evolved as a, offensive mind. And he's also made plenty of mistakes. No one's flawless. No one's perfect. So he's made plenty of mistakes. And you need to make mistakes to grow. You absolutely need to make mistakes. I think he made mistakes in the playoffs this very season. I think he made mistakes. And again, it's like, who am I to call out Ben Johnson in play calling? But I think he did a little too much, and even Tom Brady called it out, you know? And I think you'll learn. Unless his fatal flaw is really that he truly just thinks that I am the smartest man in the world, everything I do is amazing, no one can tell me otherwise. We'll find that out. But I based on me talking to him, I've never talked to him. Based on me hearing him talk and some of the things that he says, it gives me more optimism that, like, yeah, he's incredibly confident, but he is not caught in this own little self-contained bubble where he only listens to his own voice. And that matters. I praise Andy Reid from the moon and back, talking about how I think he's the greatest coach ever. And, like, I'm confident that he has people that he discusses with, that he talks with. It's why he trusts someone like a Spags. Like, he understands what he knows, and he understands what he doesn't know. And that is what you need as a head coach. And, again, I think this is a dynamic relationship that is going to ebb and flow and change. And there's also going to be some issues, too. There's also going to be some, it's not going to just be smooth sailing. They're not going to just start next season and rip off 16 straight wins. It's not going to happen. There'll still be some growing pains. And I stand by hitting the reset button even on Caleb Williams and just throwing out this whole last year, which means he's still going to have some growing pains. He's still going to have to grow and evolve as a leader, as a player, as a quarterback, as a teammate, as all of that type of stuff. This was just a messy year. I don't know did he have any good role models to work with over this season? Did he really have anyone that he could truly communicate with, who, like, actually has a position of power, someone who actually can be like, I got you, let's talk this out? I mean, it doesn't sound like it. And that's who Ben Johnson will be. Ben Johnson is going to be the guy that he's going to talk to more than anyone. And so, again, that's going to be a process, too, in developing that relationship. So, really, really exciting stuff for the Chicago Bears. I don't think there should be any, like, immediate year one expectations, which I had talked about in my first things first video yesterday, or I guess maybe 2 days ago, because I'm posting this on Thursday. I'm recording this right now, Wednesday night. I don't even know what day it is, man. I'm all turned around. And I said, listen, this is a tough division. We can't just be like, well, this team was able to do this in year one, and this guy was able to do this in year. None of that matters. Different division, different quarterback, different team. Different stuff that you have to fix, a lot of different things. So they're to me, it's just like year one is just showing that you have finally are on the right track. Kind of like what you want to kind of feel like when you have a rookie quarterback. It's just like, what does it take away? Do you need to win? Do you need to, like, win a playoff game? Like, what are the expectations? It's just like, it's a victory when you feel like at the end of the season you have the right guy for quarterback. That is the mark of a successful season. And I feel like that is what year one, what the expectations are. It's not to immediately make it to an NFC championship game or to prove that you're that Caleb Williams is the number one overall. But no. It's just that you come away from that season as just feeling like, yep, we are on the right track. We got it. We got the coach. We got the quarterback. Now we just kind of have to put everything else together. That is what my personal expectations are. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Chicago Bears and Ben Johnson? What do you think the expectations should be for them going into next season? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.